All right, we are in Miami. We were in Indian Wells, but now we're in Miami too. And Carlos Alcaraz, can he do the sunshine double? That's the question. Jannik Sinner, is his hand better? Is his arm okay after taking the nasty dive in Indian Wells? And Daniil Medvedev, can the big man serve better? We talked about his serving performance in Indian Wells and how it was pretty bad for his standards. Will it be better on the quicker, slipperier Miami Open courts at the Hard Rock Stadium? It's a great venue. It's a great tournament. It's a great draw. We're going to break down that draw right now, and take a look at the matchups, who's in what quarter, and do our predictions. This is The Slice. Thanks for being here. Let's get into it. Miami. Let me know in the comment section below if you've been to the tournament. It used to be at Key Biscayne, obviously down right near the city in Miami, but on like this little island thing. And now it's at the Hard Rock Stadium, which is like an hour north of Miami, and it's kind of like a destination. You got to drive there to get there, but the venue is awesome. I've been there. 2019 it was actually the first year, I believe, that it was at the Hard Rock Stadium. So that was awesome. I saw Federer, Djokovic, Nadal up right in person. Dominic Thiem. That was right after Dominic Thiem had beaten Federer in Indian Wells final. So the venue there is awesome. So if you get there to be at the tournament, it's amazing. It's just a bit of a pain to get to. If you're new here, welcome to The Slice. Thanks for subscribing. It helps the show, and it helps you become a better tennis player, weirdly enough. So you might as well support us, and we will support you. And those are the three big questions coming into this. We'll take a look at the draw. We're going to get into the nitty gritty of the draw. But the theme right now for me coming into this is that, like I said in the video yesterday, the top four, Djokovic is not here. So that's a huge story of the tournament. Djokovic not showing up to Miami, basically saying, that he didn't feel ready, basically just saying he wanted to take the week off. And now you got to start wondering about his commitment, his drive to play all these tournaments. He's won everything there is to win. So you can't blame a guy for wanting to take a week off. We saw him taking pictures with LeBron. That was cool. And Steph Curry, and hitting 3-pointers at the basketball game. So Djokovic is not here. We've seen that many times now, and many years in a row, where now it's been like the young guy's turn to win this tournament. We saw Hubert Hurkacz win this in 2021. We saw Alcaraz win it in 2022. I forget who won it last year. I think it was Sinner. Was it Sinner or Medvedev? I should know that. I'm going to look that up right now. It seems to be like an open or a tournament of opportunity for these younger players. Daniil Medvedev beat Jannik Sinner in the final last year, after Sinner beat Alcaraz in the semifinal. So, yeah, it's another tournament where one of these three guys, Alcaraz, Sinner, Medvedev, can kind of get another leg up going into the clay. Alcaraz, is he going to do the sunshine double? I feel good about it, especially with this draw. We'll get into it. Sinner, is his hand or arm okay? I would assume it's got to be, even just the way he did it, unless he sprained his wrist, which he played the rest of the match without really showing any issues with that. I mean, well, he wasn't playing as good, but you would think if he did something more serious to his wrist, he might get that checked out and he might stop playing if he didn't want to make it better. And then Medvedev, the serving on the quicker courts, will that be better for him? Because it didn't seem like when he's really serving his best, and maybe he just wasn't serving good at Indian Wells, but when he's really serving his best, it can be really hard to get into a service games for anyone. But we saw Alcaraz just have no trouble with it. And even Tommy Paul, it seemed like he really could neutralize that serve. And I think slower balls, slower courts, amazing athletes in Tommy Paul and Alcaraz were the combo that did it. But it'll be interesting to see if he can just serve better here and if that makes it harder to stop for really Sinner and Alcaraz. The rest of the tour, I think he's still going to get through them without having a serve be such a big weapon because he's that good. But just Alcaraz and Sinner, he needs to be serving tight. And around 60% first serve win rate is not good enough for him against those guys, if you ask me. So, yeah, that's kind of the core four and their stories coming into this. Djokovic not here. The other three guys looking to back up pretty good runs in Indian Wells. Let's look at the draw. The draw is out, and on the top, we've got Carlos Alcaraz, and who is there joining him in his half? Not Daniil Medvedev or Jannik Sinner, obviously. Jannik Sinner is the 2 seed. He's on the bottom, but Daniil Medvedev gets placed in the bottom. And in the top, you've got Holger Rune and Alexander Zverev and Hubert Hurkacz in the Alcaraz quarter. So Alcaraz getting a bit of a softer draw here, potentially looking like he's going to move pretty quick to the final. He'll play either Vukic or Carballes Baena in the second round. Then he could play Lajovic, Monfils, or Koric in the third round. And then he could play Shelton or Musetti after that, which would be pretty exciting. And then either Hurkacz, Dimitrov in the quarterfinals. So that's where it obviously starts to get tougher. But really in the round of 16, it could get pretty tough too against Musetti or Shelton. Shelton on the quicker courts could be scary territory for sure. So a lot of young energy, even Korda in that top quarter. That's exciting. Into this Zverev quarter, 4 seed, he could play Felix Auger-Aliassime in the second round, who will have to get through a qualifier. You know, we're just rooting for our guy at this point. Canadian tennis. I mean, Canadian tennis, man. When I went to Europe at the beginning of 2022, it was like Canadian tennis is ready to reach new heights, and really, it has just crashed and burned. It's like, it's insane. It's at the worst spot it's been since I've started covering tennis. And I started covering tennis in 2017. And we basically just had Milos and Genie. But at least Milos was like near the top at that point, obviously. Wimbledon finalist, 16. So yeah, we're rooting for Felix to get some momentum here. He'd have to do it through Zverev, so that's going to be tough. In here, we got Rune. He could play Lehechka. He could play Marozsan. These bigger draws now, 128% or player draws are just massive. And to me, I don't like it. I feel that it waters down the draw a bit. Like, to me, the Masters 1000s were amazing because like you could just have insane first round matches. And you just don't see that anymore. It's basically like mini majors, and there's too many of them, in my opinion. So I'm a fan of tying down the draw, but that's just never going to happen because commercially it is better to have more players, more matches, more money, as they would say. So who do you like coming out of that second quarter? I like the way Rune was playing in Indian Wells for sure. So we'll see on these quicker courts, but I think he liked those Indian Wells courts. And to me, he looked very good. So he's my pick to come out of the second quarter. If we go down to the third corner, we got Casper Ruud, who lost to Tommy Paul in Indian Wells. And we've got Daniil Medvedev in there as well. So Daniil Medvedev, he could play Purcell or Fucsovics, and then Norrie, who's kind of slipped a bit. Cam Norrie's rankings dropped down to 30. He's not really, he had that breakout year. I believe it was 2021 or 2022 is when he was really having his year. I think 2022 maybe. And he's kind of slipped a little bit. Baez, he's actually improved his ranking. And then Hugo Humbert is playing great tennis, 14 seeds. So that could be an interesting, I guess that would be round of 16 match for Daniil Medvedev. Hugo Humbert versus Daniil Medvedev. Lanky match. A lot of limbs in that matchup for sure. And then on the top part of that quarter, we got Taylor Fritz, Casper Ruud. We've got Yari, ADF. We got Jack Draper in there, sprinkled in there. Nuno Borges just won the Phoenix Challenger. So that's that for that draw. And then the bottom draw or quarter, Sinner, Rublev. We got, oh my gosh, look at this. Andy Murray versus Matteo Berrettini. You got to be kidding me. That's what I'm talking about in the Masters first round, Masters 1000 first round. But brutal for either of those two guys to lose in the first round. You've seen, just Andy Murray just get asked over and over and over about, is he going to retire? And he's basically said that he's going to retire this year, probably at Wimbledon, which is sad because I think he's still got game. He just can't really put it together for runs at tournaments. It's like Felix or Dennis right now. Anyways, That's a brutal first round matchup. Berrettini versus Murray. And then we've got Denis Shapovalov playing Italian. It's a guy I've never even heard of. Luciano Darderi to play Tsitsipas. If Shapovalov can get through that, he plays Tsitsipas in the battle of the one-handed backhands. Tommy Paul in the bottom 8th there to play Sinner potentially in the round of 16. That would be a tough match for Sinner. That'd be a great matchup. We'd love to see that. Francis Tiafoe in there, 21 seed. He's slipping a little bit in the rankings. He's not playing his best. He looks a little distracted. So yeah. So are we hoping for a Sinner Alcaraz rematch in Miami after we kind of saw? I wouldn't say it an instant classic by any means in Indian Wells. It was a good match. It was 3 sets. We had some insane tennis. There were some insane rallies. They were literally just laughing at each other at some points. That's how good the rallies were. So yeah, me personally, I'm hoping for another rematch in Miami. Quicker courts, a little more bang potentially. So yeah, they're on opposite sides of the draw. It could happen. Sinner would have to go through Medvedev potentially, but we'll see how it shakes down. Prediction time. I think Carlos Alcaraz does the Sunshine Double. He's played great. I think his confidence when it gets high, he can just get into a level where he's just cooking everyone. And we'll see that, I think. So my prediction, Carlos Alcaraz to win the Miami Open, but it's going to be a great one. It's going to be sunny. It's going to be hot, and the courts will be a little quicker. So I'm excited to get into it. Let me know your thoughts on the draw below. Follow me on Twitter right here for updates as we go through the tournament. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see